Perfect.
It'd probably be good to have everybody mute again.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. And if you're not already muted, if you can do that, that will just help prevent the background noise. But thank you everyone for hopping on this evening, and those who are watching the playback. This will be recorded, so we appreciate you taking the time to tune into this, whether it's live or watching the playback. And one really cool aspect about this is this challenge is coming to you from 16 different public health students from 3 different universities. We have representation from Utah Valley University, also Brigham Young University in Provo, and Brigham Young University in Idaho. And we have, as you can see here, 3 different countries represented: the United States. We also have Caitlin, who's in England, and Gabby, who's in Taiwan. Due to time differences, we don't have all of them on with us. But and then Gabby, if you just want to catch those that we need to mute, if you can do that, that would be great. And then something that we will be doing throughout this challenge is we will, okay, we're going to ask everyone just to mute yourself again, if you can.
The host can mute everyone if you go to participants and click mute all.
Can you see that, Gabby? So what we'll do is we'll get started with this, but I wanted to give a little introduction with this challenge. The reason that we are doing this is this helps fulfill a public health internship for each one of these students. And by you participating, you give them the experience that helps them ultimately put into practice what they've been studying throughout their degree. And that is behavior change, implementing behavior change models. And we have an incredible health system that helps provide the basis of this and the education behind it. So thanks again for being willing to participate. This is our 2nd semester doing this particular internship. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gabby to take us through the beginning of this presentation.
Thank you, Tony. So again, welcome to the kickoff, everyone. I'm so thankful that all of you were able to be with us here today. And if not, if you're watching the recording, thanks so much for watching. So this here is a picture of my family. Again, my name's Gabby. I'm in Round Rock, Texas. And this picture was taken with my family when we were out in the coast down south in South Padre, down in Texas. And there's my daughter, Luna Bella, my older son, Alexander, and my big baby boy, Almanzo. So before we get started with the information on the challenge, I wanted you to stop and think about your why. Not only why is it that you chose or are going to choose a certain micro habit, but why is it that you want to change or improve your health? By having a why, it'll help motivate you along the path of your journey. And we can all use that motivation right now. We got a 66-day challenge to try to start from start to finish and hopefully to continue on. And if I can also challenge you a little bit right now, I know it's too much to ask for. You're already on a challenge. But if you have a pen or a paper at hand, I'd like for you to start writing your why. And I can help you get you started by that by telling you how to start it. You can start it by saying something like, I am changing and focusing on improving my health and well-being because, and I'll say it again, I am changing and focusing on improving my health and wellness because. And your why is going to be totally up to you. We're all in different circumstances. We all have different goals as to what we want to accomplish and why. So just don't forget to complete that sentence. I also wanted to add, if you have any questions or if any questions come up do try to write them down so you don't forget them. That way, at the end of this presentation, we're able to answer any of your questions. Something to keep in mind about your why. Your why is something that could change in days, weeks, or months to come. It's not always going to be the same. Once you reach a certain goal, you're going to want to change it and go beyond that. So do keep that in mind. It's part of the process. And again, I wanted to say, don't lose sight of your why. You read it often, write it, revise it, but just don't lose sight of why it is that you're making these healthy changes in your lives. And this is what's going to motivate you and help you to create that whatever it takes attitude and mindset. And now I'm going to pass it on to Jordan.
Hey everyone, happy that you're all here. I'm happy that you've committed to take this 66-day challenge with us and improve yourself. I think that's something that's super important. Just a little bit about me. My name's Jordan. That's my son. I have a daughter as well, but I thought this picture was funny, and I thought it was relatable because sometimes when we set goals or we go off to try to accomplish something, we realize that our goals are kicking our butt, so to speak. And that's what my son was doing in that picture. And I thought about that for a little bit. I was like, why do our goals sometimes kick our butt? Why is it sometimes we fail at reaching our goals or give up on our goals a week or 2 weeks or maybe even the next day? And I remember a long time ago, I was taught something called setting SMART goals. And these goals, it's a way of establishing or setting goals in a smart way. It's a funny little play on words, but SMART is actually a mnemonic, and it's success in reaching your goals. So I'm going to jump right into the mnemonic here. S stands for specific. You need to have a specific goal that you want to reach on the 66-day challenge. If it's not specific and it's just general, then you're going to go in a general sort of way about accomplishing your goal, and it's not going to end very well for you. That's happened to me a few times where I'm like, well, I want to have $100. Okay. But then I don't set something specific that I need to do in order to obtain that $100 or $10,000 or whatever it is. You have to have something very specific that you're setting. And that's kind of where micro habits come in, which we'll probably talk about later. Measurable. So it does have to be measurable, meaning that you need to be able to look at your progress through time. So you have to be able to look back, like, am I closer to my goal? Am I farther from my goal? Am I right on track? Am I going too fast? I know that doesn't really make sense, but sometimes, we want to slow down a little bit because we have other things that we need to keep, we have to keep life in balance. And this goal and in that measuring, I like to point out that this should be a motivating thing. You should want to always be striving towards it. It should be almost like an obsession. It should be a passion that you have. I know one of my buddies, I'm going to call him out. He's on this call right now, is Brian, and he has a great goal of wanting to write more. He's a wonderful writer, especially with sports. And I know if he wanted to, he could make a career out of it. And I know it's going to motivate him. So I'm really excited that he's actually doing this. Another thing, A stands for achievable. There's times where we try to reach too far. We try to achieve something that's like, whoa, that's a big step. So for me, I like fitness a lot. And my whole goal, I started with powerlifting, and I had a big goal of squatting 500 pounds. I wanted to be able to do that. And I had no experience prior to setting that goal. I was just starting the gym. So could you imagine what would have happened if I went to the gym, put 500 pounds on the bar and attempted to squat 500 pounds? I probably would have been crushed. So you have to make sure it's achievable. So you can have an end goal in mind, right? You can have a path that you want to get to, and you can look 10, 20 years down the road or whatever. But let's start with something small. Let's squat 200 pounds first. Let's reach that goal first. So make sure that this goal is achievable. you want to make sure it's relevant. R stands for relevant. You want to make sure it has some sort of meaning to you, and it's appropriate for your circumstance at the moment. Because if it's not, you're probably going to give up on it again because it's not really relevant to you. Why care about it? So make sure it's relevant. It means something to you. And then again, T, if you go down to T, you want to make sure it's time bound. And luckily for you, the time is 66 days. So that's already done. We have 66 days to form a habit that will help you achieve your goals and get you to where you want to be. I'm going to pass this along now, but I hope that you guys reach your goals. You guys set smart and doable goals. You take this mnemonic and you run with it.
Hey everyone, I'm Allie. That's me and my husband. Live in Joplin, Missouri. This is one of the downtimes where we actually have fun because he's in medical school and it's miserable. So this is on one of our vacations, and it just kind of shows our personality that we really don't take ourselves very seriously. So if you could go to the next slide, Gabby. So what I wanted to talk to you about was the habit loop. And I'm sure you guys have seen this before in some capacity or another, but this is something that you really need to focus on, especially when you're setting your micro habits, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later on. But these start with a cue. So what do I mean by a cue? I mean like something emotional or something that you've set. So for example, one of your cues might be that you're really upset about something. And so your routine is to eat something bad for you. And your reward is that you feel better. The difference between positive and negative good habit loop is what you choose to be your cue and how you move through this loop. So I really want you guys to focus on taking control of your habits, because a lot of times we set, I mean, honestly, when I think about it, I probably have more bad habits than good, because the good habits take a lot more effort to set. So by good habits, I really want you to focus on what is the reward that you're going to get. What habits are going to provide you something that's worthwhile doing? A lot of people might say, well, if I'm a runner, you know, I really love that high. I am not that person. I I don't enjoy the high. That's not something that motivates me. So I'm not going to set, you know, something like, okay, well, I'm going to run, and that'll be part of my routine as I go and run a mile. And my reward is that I get this runner's high. That's definitely not something that I would focus on. So one of mine is drinking water. I live in a really humid area, and when it's not humid, it's miserable. And lately, in the winter, it's all of a sudden gotten super dry. We haven't had a lot of rain. And I'm used to the humidity at this point, even though I spent a lot of time in Utah beforehand. So now that I'm addicted to this humidity, I get dried out. I get super dehydrated, and my lips are constantly dry, and I just feel tired all the time. So one thing that I've been working on is creating this cue to drink more water. And that might be like leaving out a water bottle on my counter so that I see it and I know that I can go and drink it. And that creates that routine of drinking water consistently throughout the day and gaining that reward of not being dehydrated, which can be a really powerful reward. If you think about it, you're not as tired, you're not as dried out, your lips aren't as chapped. There's all things that come with that type of reward. So when you're focusing on creating your micro habit, make sure you're doing something that provides a worthwhile reward for you, and not just something that sounds good or something that you've heard from somebody else, because oftentimes you're not going to keep doing it. So, and that connects back to Jordan's comment about it being motivating. You know, when you're setting those SMART goals, make sure that they're motivating, make sure there's something that you really feel comfortable that you can do, and create a cue that is easily accessible for you. So I just wanted to say that, and I'm so excited to be with you guys, and I hope that this is helpful for you. And I'm going to hand this over to Anne.
Hi, everyone. This is a picture of me with some of my favorite people in the world. I've got my grandchildren, and my cute husband, who is also doing this challenge with us today and for these next 66 days. So let's go to the next slide. You've probably been wondering why 66 days? That is not a very round number. It could be 60 or it could be 70, but we've chosen 66. And the reason for that is it's based on a study that was published in the European Journal of Social Psychology a few years back, where they found that on average, it takes 66 days to form a habit. And for this challenge, we are choosing a micro habit of health. A micro habit is a small thing that we can accomplish every single day, no matter if we're tired, no matter, if our day is really, really busy, but it's something we can accomplish every single day. And then on days that we're more motivated, then we would do more. So if we do that consistently for 66 days, then we should have enough time to install that habit so that it's automatic in our lives and not something we have to worry about self-control. It's automatically in our lives. So here's an example of what this might look like. The person in this example has chosen to do 1 push-up a day for his micro habit. On days that he's feeling more motivated, he will do 5 extra push-ups. And he does that consistently for 66 days, and he's installed that habit into his life. Just so you know, it can be kind of steep at the beginning, kind of difficult. As you can see on the left there, it's a challenge. It can be a challenge to get started. But as he's being consistent, he's reached that 66 days and it's become easier. So just know it'll get easier, even if it's kind of tricky right at the beginning. This is what our tracker looks like. Up at the top, you'll write in what your habit is that you're going to work on, and circle what area of your life that you're working on. And if you've not received this yet, check with your coach and they can send it out to you so you can get it printed out. And we'll be starting this on Monday, on February 1st. So each day that you are doing this challenge, if you accomplish your micro habit, your really small thing, then you'll get a check mark on that day. And if you do extra and do your plus, then you get a plus mark. And so we'll see how this all fills up. And as a group, we'll just have accomplished many, many micro habits that we've developed and improved our lives.
Okay, thanks for that. So I'm Ryan. I am a UVU intern, currently going to be graduating this semester, and I am from Utah. And so let's just get into talking about community. So community support and logistics. So with this challenge, you want to, like as the coaches, we've invited you guys to join Healthy Together Facebook. You can, so as like coaches, we'll be your support throughout this challenge so that you guys can meet your goals and that you guys can be able to achieve what you want. You'll be getting weekly emails throughout the challenge, just about what's going on in that day. And so this is on the right is the welcome post. That's just going to be, your coach should have tagged you in that. That's just going to be something that is going to remind you about turning on your notifications so that you can see every day what's going on in the challenge and just welcome you into this challenge. Also on the left is a post that is going to be about the components of the habits of health that will help you throughout this journey. And so without community support, it's going to be very hard to achieve your goals. So you're going to want to be making sure you're in contact with your coach, and your coach we'll be doing a weekly phone call with you that will be just about 5 minutes every week, going over how you're doing throughout the challenge and if there's areas that you're struggling in. And then they'll also be talking about your wins, like wanting you to focus on the positive and what you're doing well at. And then the next week they can go over what you want to improve. So that's more about the community. And so we're just going to open it up for any questions if you guys have any.
And if you do have questions, you can either take yourself off mute or you can type it in the chat. And Brooke asked if it's too late to change your goal. No, it's not. What I would suggest doing is talk to the person who invited you to the challenge, who will work as your coach through this, and just share with them what you're changing your goal to, because they're going to keep track of it. They're also going to help you narrow it down to a micro habit. We talked a little bit about that today, but that's really key. If it's something that you can do on your worst day, when you're not feeling great, and maybe the motivation is really low that day, either because you're sick or things are just not, life happened, then as long as you can do that small piece of the goal, the micro habit, on your worst day, that's a good indication you have your micro habit narrowed down small enough.
Is Ann Heiner my coach?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thanks.
Okay, and Jimmy, you asked, can you have 2 or 3 different goals and see which one sticks after the 66 days? What we're encouraging with this is to focus on one. Now this, you're going to learn a routine with this 66-day challenge. And I actually laminated my tracker sheet. So I just use a dry erase marker on it. And when a 66-day period ends, I choose a new goal. And I just work on one after another. And so while you can choose more than one goal, we encourage you to choose one for the purposes of this challenge. And Gloria asked, what do you recommend for community support for those who don't have Facebook? Great question, Gloria. So all of you will be receiving a weekly email or correspondence from the person who invited you to this challenge, your coach. And they will plug you in to our weekly Habits of Health webinar. This is a 30-minute webinar you can catch live every Wednesday night, or it's recorded in a YouTube video recording or a podcast. And we're encouraging each of you to plug into that once a week. That's where you'll plug into the community, even if you don't have social media or you don't like social media.
What time?
So
What time?
for the live version of it, it will be 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And so that would cover all of those who are in that time zone. And Eastern Time would be 4:30. Pacific would be 5:30. And then there was another question from Jennifer. What's a reasonable goal to increase water intake to 64 ounces? So each of you, if you haven't already, you're going to receive a short little YouTube video you can watch from your coach that everyone has, or the majority of our coaches have helped put together. And they give helpful suggestions, including water. So if water intake is something you want to focus on with this challenge, they're going to suggest some micro habits that would work. And one of those that they suggest on there is filling up your water bottle in the morning as your cue, like Ali talked about. And that's your micro habit, just filling up your water bottle. And you can fill up a complete 64 ounces worth of water bottles. And then if you drink that much, you've accomplished beyond the micro habit. There's some other great tips in there too. Something helpful to remember is, where are you starting out? If you're starting out with 8 ounces of water or 16 ounces of water on your worst day, that might need to be your micro goal, or even less, because we want to work up to that. And it's going to take some time and some practice, and especially that consistency. So those are great questions. Any others? Oh, we have one from Brooke. What if I wanted to incorporate exercise 3 times a week? Does it need to be a daily habit? So that's a great question. We do want you to choose something that's daily, even if it's like 5 minutes of physical activity, or and you may have 3 times a week that you do something beyond that. But in that video, they'll also suggest some micro habits that you could do. In fact, Allie, did you want to share yours real quick? Because yours was related to exercise.
Yeah, so mine is going to be to basically prepare a text the night before that is what I want to do exercise wise for the next day. And so I'm going to send it to myself at night and not open it until the morning. And so if I do that, that's my micro habit. And then if I actually complete the exercise, I get a plus for that, for actually completing it.
And Brooke, you can check in with your coach too and brainstorm some other ideas if you want to explore that a little further. Joy, you also had something similar. Do you mind taking yourself off mute and just sharing your micro habit?
Yeah, definitely. So you mean the exercise one?
Yes.
Okay. So for me, I have my tennis shoes. If I put those on, then I get a check mark for the day. And then if I actually go for a walk or do any kind of exercise, then I get to put a plus for my day.
Thank you. And I love what Garrett wrote in the chat too. You could incorporate stretching into that physical activity. So great ideas here. And again, if you have other, and these don't even actually have to be health related. We have Joshua, who's developing a talent and is going to be practicing the violin every day. When you watch the video, you'll learn more about that. So it really can be anything. If it's incorporating more reading, the important thing is working with your coach to narrow it down to a micro habit, and just check in with them if you have any questions about that to find out if it's small enough that you can do it every day. But we are actually out of time. So if you have more questions, please reach out to your coach. They're going to stay in great contact with you throughout the course of this challenge. And so if you have any questions, they are the person to turn to. But thank you everyone for hopping on. We really appreciate your time this evening. And thanks to all of you who helped present tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Good